Hi everyone, this is your host, JB Eagle. I'm wearing an ant costume because the movie we'll be talking about is about ants. I said the title of the movie, except the letter S is replaced with the letter Z. Now that the second ever computer animated feature, followed by Toy Story, is in the spotlight, will it deliver more than its rival movie, A Bug's Life, or did DreamWorks make a bad first impression? Let's find out.
The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one. The little one stops to suck his thumb and they all go marching, marching on today.
The story. I'll start with the movie plot first. Z, the worker ant, strives to reconcile his own individuality with the communal work ethic of the ant colony. When he falls in love with Ant Princess Bala, Z strives to make social inroads and then must save the ant colony from the treacherous scheming of the evil General Mandible that threatens to wipe out the entire worker population. I give this movie 10 out of 10. This movie is excellent but stays underrated for various reasons, mainly of being compared to A Bug's Life, which was released the same year and became more successful than Ants. The animation. Let's let the animation march. During the flooding scene, no ants were drowned because the animators thought it was too cruel. Starting with this film, computer animated films are being released theatrically every year, which would eventually decrease the amount of traditionally animated films, which as of the 2010s are only ever films based off already existing animated media. This is the first computer animated film to be rated PG by the MPAA and the only one released in the 20th century to do so. All the other PG-rated fully CGI films were released in the 21st century, with there being only one or more in every year except for 2003. This is DreamWorks Animation's first feature film and the only one released in the 20th century to be fully computer animated. Starting with Shrek, all that company's subsequent CGI films were released in the 21st century. The computer graphics imagery that makes up the film would later become the dominant form of animation at DreamWorks, replacing 2D animation as of 2003. Although often cited as the second computer animated film after Toy Story, this was the third. The second was Cassiopeia from 1996. The characters. Let's see what characters in the movie will be marching like soldier ants. Z4195, or Z for short, is a worker ant who is unhappy with his life. After falling in love with Bala, things start looking up for him. They get better for him when he sets out to find a bug paradise called Insectopia. Princess Bala is the daughter of the Queen of Ants, the betrothed of Z, and the former fiancé of Mandible. When she falls on Z, they don't get on well. As soon as their relationship flourishes, Bala dares to stand up to her fiancé, General Mandible, and help Z save the colony. Then there's Weaver, a soldier ant who is Z's best friend. When Z wants to go see Princess Bala at the inspection, he convinces Weaver to trade places with him, at which point Azteca becomes Weaver's love interest. We also have General Mandible, an evil ant who was the self-righteous supreme commander of the ant military and was allowed by the queen ant to make the decisions of the colony. He also was Cutter's former boss and Bala's ex-fiancé. He plans to rearrange the colony he works in by wiping out the queen and all the workers. Some of the characters are named after types of ants. Bala is the name that people in Costa Rica give to bullet ants called Paraponera clavata species. Barbados is named after Pogonomyrmex barbatus, red harvester ant species. Azteca is named after Azteca andreri species. Weaver is named after weaver or green ant, genus Oncophila, and Cutter is named after leafcutter ants, genera Atta and Acromyrmex. Also, General Mandible is named after mandibles, which are ant jaws. The main characters share facial similarities with the actors voicing them, but according to the DVD commentary, they were designed before the cast was hired, particularly Weaver's lips based on Sylvester Stallone's. Z was also going to wear thick glasses like Woody Allen's, but this idea was scrapped. The general's name was originally Formica instead of Mandible. His original plan would have included tying Bala up and abandoning her in the tunnel with the workers, instead of isolating her in safety, and his original fate would have been drowning before rescuers could reach him. Christopher Walken's voice work was so excellent that Cutter's role was expanded. He was originally a faceless lackey to General Mandible, but Walken brought some unexpected depths to the character. In an early draft, Cutter was meant to have a worker girlfriend who was Bala's sole friend. The idea was dropped to focus more on Z's and Bala's and Weaver's and Azteca's relationships. Bala was a lot nastier in the early days of defining the character. Sharon Stone's reading helped to change that by balancing sass with spoiled without ever becoming too bratty. Jennifer Lopez's character Azteca is named for an ant genius in the American tropics. Z's full name or number in the script is Z4195. Here's some facts that are about to go down the anthill. Z's line, "I was going to include you in my erotic fantasies," was originally, "I was going to include you in my most erotic sexual fantasies," but was shortened to retain a PG rating. In the German dubbed version, the sexual is included. The line was from a Spider sketch called What Causes Homosexuality, which was cut from Allen's 1972 film Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. Woody Allen was going to use that line as Louise Lasser was about to eat him. The sketch was never used because Allen couldn't think of a way to end the scene. Since the sketch was not used, the writers got a hold of the line and, realizing the irony, spiders, ants, had Allen's character state it. Many actors from the cast appeared in several films directed by Woody Allen. Sylvester Stallone was in Bananas from 1971, Christopher Walken in Annie Hall from 1977, Sharon Stone in Stardust Memories from 1980, Gene Hackman in Another Woman from 1988, Dan Aykroyd in The Curse of the Jade Scorpion from 2001, and Paul Mazursky directed Allen in Scenes from a Mall from 1991. The plot of Ants is an ironic twist. In the movie, Mandible wants to flood the ant colony, wiping out all the ants so he can start anew. In the James Bond movie, A View to a Kill from 1985, the antagonist, Max Zorin, wanted to wipe out Silicon Valley by flooding the San Andreas Fault by digging under San Andreas Lake. Max Zorin was played by Christopher Walken, who was also in Ants. John Mahoney plays one of the ants in the film. In a peculiar coincidence, David Hyde Pierce, Mahoney's co-star on Frasier from 1993, played a regular insect in Pixar's A Bug's Life, a similar film about an ant colony, both in the same year. Additionally, both films featured Phil Proctor, Jim Ward, Bob Bergen, Jan Rapson, experienced voice actor Carlos Elizragui, and Frank Welker. While often compared to Disney's A Bug's Life, the plot is similar to the novella Anthem by Ayn Rand, and both Anthem and Ants follow a single character, equality 7-25-21 in Anthem and Z in Ants. Disaffected with his assigned position in a mechanized collectivist society, breaks free from the collective and makes a startling discovery about the world. This is John Mahoney's first time voice acting in a theatrical film. Later, he'd go on to voice General Rogard in The Iron Giant from 1999 and Preston Whitmore in Atlantis, The Lost Empire from 2001. Out of the only 3 theatrically released animated films he ever had, this is his only one to be shot in the 1.851 aspect ratio and his only one to be computer animated. Although there are humans in the film, we never see any faces. This may have been because DreamWorks didn't want to incur the same criticisms that Pixar received when Toy Story came out. The humans in the film looked grotesque and not at all plausible because they haven't perfected a computer-animated human face yet. Jeffrey Katzenberg wanted Hans Zimmer to compose the music, but he was too busy with The Prince of Egypt among other projects. Instead, Zimmer suggested 2 composers from his studio, either Harry Gregson Williams or John Powell, both of whom had already collaborated on Egypt. In the competing film from Pixar, A Bug's Life, which came out the same year, the main villain was voiced by Kevin Spacey, who played Lex Luthor in Superman Returns from 2006. In this film, the main villain is voiced by Gene Hackman, who played Lex Luthor in Superman from 1978. In the original development, some of the ants wore clothes, gloves, and light bulbs appeared whenever they had an idea. None of these made it into the finished film. Also, General Mandible looked more visibly sinister in early drafts, but they toned it down for the final result. This is the first theatrically released animated film to star Danny Glover. Later, he'd go on to voice Jethro in The Prince of Egypt from 1998, Miles the Mule in Barnyard from 2006, President Chen in Battle for Terra from 2007, and Winston the Wolf in Alpha and Omega from 2010. This is Christopher Walken's first voice acting performance in a theatrical film. Later, he'd go on to voice Sal the Kangaroo in Kangaroo Jack from 2003, and King Louie the Gigantopithecus, a huge extinct ape that closely resembles a modern-day orangutan, in The Jungle Book from 2016. Drew Barrymore, Tracy Ullman, Joanna Lumley, Rosie O'Donnell, Kelly Preston, Susan Sarandon, Julianne Moore, Winona Ryder, Julia Roberts, Ashley Judd, Carly Simon, and Leslie Uggams were considered for the role of Azteca before Jennifer Lopez was cast. There are several subtle shout-outs in dialogue to Star Wars. I hope you know what you're doing. Yeah, me too. The Colonel is not as understanding as I am. You're a little short for a war hero. Who's the bigger idiot? The idiot or the idiot who gets kidnapped by the idiot? In the original script, the giant human wearing the shoes was a young woman, but half of the script and some sketches were changed for the final draft of the film. In the final storyboard and in the film's picnic scene, the human wearing the shoes is an unseen teenage boy. This film shares a similar plot with the Pixar cartoon A Bug's Life, which was released the same year. In both stories, a common worker ant who's known for his unorthodox thinking sparks a chain of events that affect his entire colony and lands him a romance with the princess. This is Sylvester Stallone's first time voice acting in a theatrical film. Later, he'd go on to voice Joe the Lion in Zookeeper from 2011, Victor Von Ion in Ratchet and Clank from 2016, Bullet Man in Animal Crackers from 2017, and King Shark in The Suicide Squad from 2021. When the kid with the magnifying glass vaporizes a dumb soldier ant who thinks the light is beautiful is similar to Independence Day from 1996, a takeoff on a similar dialogue. The sound effects are directly from the original 1953 film The War of the Worlds. It could be, that's all I can say. So this is JD Eagle saying goodbye.
Ants go marching 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 2 by 2. The little one stops to tie his shoe, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 3 by 3. The marching 4 by